In the previous turn, I'd moved my mounted yeoman back up in front of his boar boys to try and get them to charge this time. I was trying to put them in such a way that the Savage Orcs had nowhere else to go, so that they'd have to overrun and get within charge range of my questing knights. So they charge in and they crush those mounted yeomen. I mean, it's not even really a combat. Not even really worth talking about, to be honest. But they crush them and overrun up to that orc unit, that larger one. His goblins rally. His black orc unit reforms and fails to swift reform, trying to get some more ranks in there for the inevitable combat. As you can see, that unit is a lot less intimidating now. I think they're down to 13 guys at that point. You can also see in that shot my Pegasus Knights and Mounted Yeoman unit had moved up to try and get at his rock lava, and for the second time his trolls fail their stupidity check. So, nothing really happens in Magic. Combat, his orcs whiff pretty badly on the Grail Knights, managed to kill only one. Partly, I think, is because we forgot it was the Razor Standard until the next turn, but overall they did not roll that many wounds or to hit. The unit, I lost by 2, stuck around on 8 because of the general, yeah, that really hurt him. The other, I think, having to wheel to try and avoid that other unit kind of screwed the pooch for him, so to speak. The boar boys that I mentioned had overran, setting them up perfectly for the questing knights to charge in there, kick the hell out of them, chase them away. Well, at least this is my plan: chase them away, and then try and hit that other unit. My general's unit charges into the flank of that orc unit. As you can see from the picture, I'd forgotten to mention before, I lost a bunch of knights from a miscast getting off dwellers on that on that orc unit, the black orcs, but it was worth it from the number that I killed. So I hit it in the flank, and getting real excited here. I have my heroic killing blow general in base to base with his character, and so I can finally do what he's meant to do. My Pegasus Knights charge as rock lava. This isn't really a fight at all. They crush it and run off the board. Pegasus Knights are one of the best War Machine hunters in the game. I mean, I only say that they're not the best because I can't think of a better one off the top of my head, at least point for point. Overall, the battlefield looks like that. I moved up my men-at-arms so that they'd be right in front of his black orcs, and kept my second Knight of the Realm unit with the BSB just a little back, so they give the rerolls to everybody, and so I could be ready to charge into whatever combat they needed to go into. I moved my Mounted Yeoman up, as you can see in the middle of the picture, to stop him from being able to charge either the Knight blocks with his black orc unit. The last thing I want at this point is a side charge from a giant block of, or, medium-sized block of black orcs. My bowmen move forward, leaving their defensive stakes behind. I was out of range of everybody, and figured I might be able to get a couple more shots in if I ran across the table as quickly as possible. In the magic phase, I got off Wassand's Wild Form on the normal knight unit, making them all strength 6 on the charge, toughness 4, and on the Grails got off Flesh to Stone, making them all toughness 5, just to slow down the amount of damage that those orcs can do. If I can keep their damage down, it shouldn't be too hard to slowly grind them into the ground. In shooting, I dropped 2 rocks on his black orc unit, knocking him down to, it looks like, 11 guys, and then killing one of my mounted yeomen. The second shot went off wildly, but at this point I don't care. They have done their job more than enough. I couldn't ask for much more from some stinky peasants. In combat, I kill off that Savage Orc unit pretty easily, or kill off most of them, and then one of them runs away, gets run down, and overrun into that combat. This is what I like to see. Big blocks of knights on every side of a giant orc unit. It's still going to take a while to grind down. Last time this happened against him, we fought for something like 5 rounds of combat, and essentially no orcs died. So at this point, I'm still pretty worried about what's going to happen here. We went into kind of a strange problem with the building that you can see behind the questing knights. They weren't long enough originally to be able to, or they were so long originally that they wouldn't be able to fit there. We weren't certain how we're supposed to play that, because the orc unit couldn't wheel to maximize to them because they were already in combat. So we were wondering how to stick the questing knight unit in there so that they would fit, if you'd have to slide them down or what. I ended up just saying, hey, let's just make them take dangerous terrain or something, and that killed off enough of the questing knights that it didn't matter anyway, and they were able to fit. But if anyone knows what's supposed to happen there, just drop a comment or a forum post or what have you. We'd really both like to know what happens there. It's happened a couple times. Those long Bretonnian lances, they just kind of get stuck from buildings. The Pegasus Knights kill the rock lava and flee or pursue off the table. These are the casualties from that combat. My Bretonnian Lord, heroic killing blows. His character, his wizard, gets taken down by the Grails. The orcs in return managed to just kill the unit champion on the Knights of the Realm unit. Those buffs really hurt him. The ward save and all that made it a lot easier for me to just take whatever the heck he was throwing out at me. So I won combat by a bunch, but he stuck around. On orc turn, you can't really see it, but the black orc unit charges that peasant unit in the front. Because of the ward save, they end up only killing 5. And I think I kill 1 in return. And I stick around because I'm steadfast on 10 with a reroll. And, yeah. As far as I'm concerned, that fight can go on all day. I am perfectly happy just allowing him to chew through those peasants. Slowly, a couple at a time. They're going to be steadfast for a long time. And they'll still be able to kill 1 or 2 a turn. We fight that big combat out again. At the top you can see the casualties. I didn't lose anybody. He'd lost about a dozen orcs. He stuck around, still steadfast on a 7. We were joking that it was just a matter of time. The game would keep going until he failed the leadership 7 check. On the Bretonnian turn, I charge my knight unit into his trolls. You can't really see the trolls in that shot. And in Magic, I get off Transformation of Kadan on the Damsel and turn into a Great Chimera. It was great. In combat, the Mountain Chimera gets 46 attacks plus 1 from Frenzy. I roll 46 and get the die roll you can see in the picture. So I ended up with 24 attacks at Strength 7, Weapon Skill 7, striking before the Black Orcs, and managed to kill all of them before any of them get to swing. It was pretty amazing. Ended up overkilling the unit by about, with breath weapon attacks, something like, by like 8 or 9 wounds. It was definitely the highlight of the game. The last round of that combat, he kills 3 Grail Knights, and I kill about 8 orcs. He finally fails his Leadership 7 check and gets run down. At this point, we just call it. All he had left was a Goblin unit, and it would have just been pointless to keep playing it out. The final tally, from the best I could tell, was 2,858 to 82, which was the Mounted Yeoman unit. Overall, I think the MVP by far was the two trebuchets. I just started running two trebuchets a couple days ago, and they are performing spectacularly. They allowed me to strip out enough ranks in those units so that I could actually take them on in combat, so that the Black Orcs weren't so threatening that my men at arms could just beat them up. And it was a pretty awesome way to end the game with the transformation of Kadan getting 24 attacks. Overall, I think the biggest problem he ran into was dice, for the most part. Just totally whiffing on that charge against the Grail Knights really hurt him. If he'd crushed them, he probably would have run past the rest of the army. That would have allowed him to reform and fight fewer units at a time. Instead, he got stuck up and multi-charged. I think his army probably ended up benefiting a lot from getting more support units in there, but he's playing with what he has, right? Well, one way or another, thank you all for watching. As I said, this will hopefully be the first in a long series of battle reports. Will and I usually end up playing 1 or 2 games a week. His primary army is High Elves, and I'll make sure I get another game in against them and record it and post it up here. Thank you for watching.